All right, what up? This is my friend George Dutra. George, how's it going,
What's
man?
going on, everybody? What's up?
So George and I have been friends. We just kind of ran the math, and we still don't know, but over 25 years. It's been a while.
Been a long time, man. Definitely one of my older friends for sure.
Where where in the world are you at right now?
I am in Highland Springs, Virginia. Uh, we've been out here almost 2 years.
Is it getting cold?
It is.
Oh yeah.
It is, man. It's starting to leave frost everywhere and leaves are on the ground. It's a trip coming from California, having 4 seasons.
Right.
Got
Yeah,
tractors going by.
actual seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up in the
It's
mountains up north, and we get 4 seasons, but mostly just summer and fall are the good ones.
well, the big difference out here that I wasn't used to is how green it is. Like, it is so green out here, man. It's nuts being around this much vegetation.
Yeah, like all year too.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Shit suffocates the buildings, like, it gets all over everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where'd you grow up?
California, Southern California, and then, my summers, I would go up north to my grandparents. They lived up in, it's a place called Campo. It's in between Galt and Lodi in the San Joaquin County, San Joaquin Valley, and, yeah, my dad's side lives up there. They all had trucks, diesel business and farmland and stuff. So that was a big part of what I had become as an adult, I would say. That influenced me more than the city,
Yeah, like being out
living
in
in Orange
nature
County.
and working, living
Yeah,
off the
fully,
land.
fully.
Dude, I think I remember
Yep.
you living in an apartment in like Santa Ana or some shit, and you had like a backyard full of chickens, like a little patio with
Yeah.
chickens. Was that you?
Yeah. 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 It was Anaheim.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. That was actually over by Disneyland, not that far from it. Uh, yeah, there's just something about not I don't want to say having your own making your own food and all that stuff, but just something about caring for something else. I think especially uh one of the things I think kind of has a through line through my life is because I had such a fucked up past. I don't know if that's like I'm trying to be a caregiver or trying to take care of something and nurture something just so maybe my brain can see that I have that in me or something, or I've always wondered if that's my relationships to dogs. I've always had dogs, and I always wonder if that was just me trying to care for something, if that makes sense at
It
all.
could be, like some people who like say you didn't get any affection or attention when you were young, in your years when you're really developing. Like you tend to kind of want to go above and beyond for other things, sometimes people, and
Right.
then still forget to take care of yourself in that same manner. You know what I mean? Like some people will treat their dogs like way better than they'll treat themselves, like, oh, they won't feed them like the leftovers. I can't give that shit to my dog, but they just, chow down a crunch wrap from fucking Taco Bell.
Yeah, totally.
Um, yeah, so there could be. What was childhood like for you growing up?
Uh, uh, Not a very happy one. Uh, and it's funny too because I look at my life now, and it was something that you said that really stuck with me. I was listening to your or watching your soft white underbelly interview, and you said a couple of things that really resonated with me. But one of them was that you had to stop comparing your kids' life to your life growing up.
Hmm.
And I do that all the time where I'm like, I'll go and wake up Rogue and I'll just like check on her and, hey, sweetie, it was just so nice. And I'm just like, as I'm doing that, I'm literally thinking to myself, I never got this when I was a kid. I didn't get this when I was like, how lucky is she that she gets this? Instead of, like you said, going like, dang, I should be stoked that I created a situation where I can do that to my kid, you know? Another thing that you said that really resonated too was there's a lot of things I shouldn't be that I am. Like I shouldn't be a dad. I shouldn't be a husband. I shouldn't be a citizen. You know, there's a lot of things for me because prison was such a big part of my life, and juvenile hall and group home. There's a lot of things I shouldn't be. And when you said that, man, it fucking really, really hit. But back to my childhood, it wasn't very good. My parents split up when I was 3. My dad was an alcoholic. He was kicked out of the military. My mom didn't have very good social skills and stuff too. She was a big drinker, and just they shouldn't have had kids. Probably, you know, they definitely weren't very loving.
Your
Yeah,
dad was
just
kicked out of the military also?
yeah.
That's wild. For
I know,
what?
dude. When I heard your story, I was like, "God, so going to live with my grandparents, like just so much of it, man."
Yeah, and you know what's
I was just
crazy
tripping out.
is like it just shows how closed off men can be. Like we've been friends for almost 30 years. You know what I mean? And like those similarities, like I didn't know your parents split. I didn't know your dad was in the military, you know? Like when you're
Yeah.
running the muck and you're just doing the fucking grimy shit we were doing as kids, like you don't really care. Yeah, like you know what I mean? I never had any
Well,
interest in your past or whatever, you know?
we're living to get away from our past. I'm hanging out with you guys because you helped me forget how fucked up my house is.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
I'm out with you guys because I'm trying to get away from all that. I ain't trying to come hang out with you guys and talk about that shit. Like, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, we're like all escaping the same shit, you know?
exactly, dude. We're
That's
escaping
funny.
it. The thing too was you almost when you're a kid, I feel like you're embarrassed about it too much to talk about it. You know,
Yeah.
everything you see on TV is all these like, you know, growing pains and family ties on this perfect home and the nuclear family and all that. And sometimes you see it at your friend's house and then your house is fucked up. Like it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be a kid and not be proud of like your family and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't even really have like my grandparents were rad. Like they like knowing now, like I'm, you know, I'm about to be 40 and looking back at my grandparents and that being raised by them on the weekends, you know, or through high school. And it was like, you're not proud of like, you never like, oh yeah, come over to my house. My grandparents this, my grandparents that. And now I'm
Right.
like, fuck, man, I really did have it cool. But yeah, I just remember spending a lot of time just out on the street riding my bike, dude. Like fucking posted up behind a liquor store or some shit. I don't know. Just always,
For real, dude. Just
yeah,
happen
just
to be in a parking lot or something.
yeah, exactly. Just in a parking lot with your boys, like doing whatever, skating, listening to music, smoking weed, chasing
Yeah.
girls, hanging a lot of time at the beach. You know, it's cool.
Oh yeah.
So what?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just telling somebody the other day, I was like, man, I remember when there was no curfew at the beach.
Yeah,
Like you could just go to the beach whenever and it didn't close at 10, you
where
know?
they didn't enforce it. You know,
Right. Right.
dude. Now it's wild. I was down in Huntington the other, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and bro, what a pain in the ass. Just to get like a fire pit, you have to do it
Yeah,
for the birds, man.
for sure.
Southern California fucking sucks now.
I know. I love that I'm not there.
And
I mean,
I don't know if it's that it sucks now or like it's always sucked and I just have a different perspective of it because I live someplace that's so beautiful.
that's a good way to put it. Like
But
you're
I think,
just your view is different.
yeah, but I feel like it's kind of a little,
No, it didn't suck then, dude.
yeah, I don't think so either. I think they've
Yeah,
let
it
it
was
go to
cool.
shit. So your mom and dad split up when you're how old? You said 3?
When they found out my mom was pregnant with my brother,
Oh, your
my
brother is
dad
your
bailed.
little brother?
Yeah,
I thought he was older.
that's funny.
Bro, Eric, you gotta take better care of yourself, man.
Dude, for real.
He's
Kidding
all
me.
yeah. We won't cap on him too hard, dude. I don't want him to. But I thought he
I
was
mean,
your younger. Oh, I thought he was your older brother.
nope.
That's hilarious.
No, 3 years younger.
3. So when your mom they found out she was pregnant with Eric, your dad boned out.
Yeah, he had I mean, he wasn't around a lot anyway. He was, like I said, they were truckers. So he would go from Southern California to Northern California, taking loads back and forth. And from what I understand is like he didn't want to have me, you know? Like once we had another kid, it was just like, fuck, now he's out. Like, and then the crazy thing is I didn't see him again until I was 11.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, it was crazy because I remember the only thing I remember of my dad before that next time I saw him was he used to have a 1974 Nova, and I threw up in the back seat, and I remember him like hitting me, and that always trips me out because I don't know how I remember that. I honestly couldn't tell you how that sticks in my head, but knowing that he left when I was 3, or when I was born in April, my brother was born in March. So when they found out they were pregnant with him, I had to have just been 3, like barely 3. And for me to have that subconscious memory of him hitting me in the backseat of the car just blows me away, like how the mind works and everything, like, and that was like the last thing I remember. I grew up with that being the only memory of my dad until I was 11. And then, it was crazy. He came to the yard, the diesel yard where all the trucks were. And literally just my grandma goes, "Go help your dad. Go help him unload the truck." And I was like, "What? My dad's here? Like, what?" And so I go and it blew me away, and it still does to this day, how when I walked out there, I was like, "Hey, grandma told me to come help you." There was no, "Oh, Georgie, oh my God," or there was no like, "Hey, come here. What the fuck? I haven't seen you in, you know, 9 years." Like there was
Uh,
nothing. It was like, it was just, "Okay, go grab that."
get to work.
That's it.
Yeah, that's heavy, man. Like what the fuck? Like how? Like you gotta wonder how that shit is ingrained in somebody. Just like did you have just a piece of shit dad, or are you in fucking? Is it in your DNA to just treat people this way? Like I don't understand it, man. Like my dad, for example, he was so proud of his kids, right? Like you'd think like your dad probably didn't want to have kids, right? Your mom got pregnant, wasn't
Right.
fucking stoked about it. My dad, I would imagine when he found out my mom was pregnant, like he was probably like head over heels in fucking joy and excited, right? But
Right.
still a total shitbag. Like just the neglecting. I don't understand it, man. So how so you're 11 and you see your dad at the truck yard and he just like doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Wow, yeah, this is affecting me more than I thought it would, talking about it. Uh, yeah, I don't think I've ever told anybody that.
Yeah, that's heavy, man.
Uh, yeah, so yeah, he was just, and then I don't think I saw him again for like, honestly, in like probably another couple of years.
So it was just like a brief, like he's at the yard getting a load and then he slid
Yep.
again.
Loads up his truck and then bails. Uh, and the thing that you were saying about like, why was he like that? And I always wonder like why? Like a dad is supposed to like, you're supposed to want a son. Like there's just this thing. He's got 5, my grandpa's got 5 kids, 4 of them were boys. Like I was the first grandson.
What's your grandpa like?
He's awesome. That's the thing, is he's awesome. Still to this day, like, I mean, he was basically my dad.
Yeah, same here. You said your dad was booted out of the military. Was he ever in deployed? Like do any
No,
combat?
no, I
Oh,
don't even think he made it like a year.
that's
Like,
same here.
so trip on this, dude. So he's out here, and I just found this out. My grandpa came out here, and I did a podcast with him, and I just asked him all kinds of questions. Like, I had never had been able to talk to him like that, and he told me, man, and he got choked up telling me some of the stories, and I'm like fucking crying. Uh, but seeing him get choked up, talk about me as a kid, it was just what it was it was just I never had a male figure like express that much care about me.
Maybe you never recognize it. You know, he cared about you now. He cared about you then when you were a kid going through it.
No, no, I know. I just meant like seeing him get choked up over me. I just I was just heavy.
Yeah,
It was heavy. After all
yeah. I
these years,
have
he's
this.
telling us. No, no, no. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I have this picture of my grandfather and I, like when I moved to the East Coast after getting out of the group homes, and just the fucking look on his face, like in the photo. It's like right as I'm going to the airport to fly off to Boston, and you just see this man that's just like fucking broken, and it's not a face I've ever seen on him just this one time, and it's like you just know how much these dudes cared for us, man. Our grandparents are just
Oh yeah,
amazing.
totally. Dude, he was the only one that came to visit me in prison. Like he's just always been there for me.
Yeah. So we'll get off this soon. You're 11. You see your dad. 3, it's obviously not peachy. And then
Right.
what's your relationship with your mom like at this point?
uh just hearing a lot of like, I mean, I'm not gonna try and say I was a good kid, but I definitely think that if I could have been, you know, I definitely think I could have been. Uh, and the thing about my mom is like, I heard so much shit about my dad, and then always hearing, "You're just like him. You're the
Uh,
fucking spitting image of your dad." And like,
yeah, that stings.
oh, I fucking hated it. And so I heard that like my whole life. And I mean, she did all the stuff, all the drinking and the partying, all that stuff. And just not a good example of an adult as far as like how to live as well, eating habits and just everything. But no affection. I think that was the worst part, was like there was never any hugs. I can't ever remember saying I love you. I can't ever remember like hugging. And I'm sure it happened. I'm sure it did. I can't think it's possible for a human, a mom to do that. And maybe I am remembering it correctly, but I'm operating from the spot of I want to remember it. I want to remember a fucking hug. I want
Yeah.
to remember a fucking kiss. I want to. I want to be wrong with this, but I don't feel like I am.
Yeah, I think
And
my brothers say the same thing. Like he told me when I had kids, he's like, tell your kids you love them like you never could tell him enough. He's like, I don't ever remember here. He just said exactly what you told me. Never got hugs, never got told I love you. He just turned 24 the other day, or 22. I don't even know, 22 or 23. And mom didn't even call him for happy birthday, you know?
Oh,
And then hits him up like a few days later for fucking money for her stupid ass dog to have surgery or some shit. It's like, dude, these parents, I don't get it, man.
that's the thing is, even if, like, let's say my grandpa was a fucking asshole and raised my dad like my dad raised me. Let's just say that that cycle was never broken. The thing that I don't get with any of that is, you know how it felt to you. Of all the humans on the planet, your child, you would think, would be the one that would get the best version of you. You would think your kid would get the coolest part of you. Like, you want, I don't know, that's how I think. And it blows my mind that if it happened to you, it's more likely that you're going to do it, rather than if it happened to you, it's more likely you're not going to do it to the next person. Like, that trips me out so much, man,
Yeah,
because
that it's like the cycle is more likely to repeat itself than to break
right,
itself. Yeah.
because it's so horrible. My childhood was so fucked. I hated a lot of things in my childhood. My friends were my saving grace, honestly. Uh, and to think that I could do something like that to my kid,
Yeah. I heard something
no
in a
way.
podcast and it reminds me of what you started out with. And I don't remember where I heard it, but I think my brother interviewed somebody and he said, today could be the day that your son remembers for the rest of his life.
Oh, I've
And
heard, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
damn, I'm like, that rings so true, you know? So like, fuck, I have my moments, dude, where I lose my cool and yell or, whatever.
right.
And I'm like, you gotta go back and like humble yourself and giving a kid an apology, and
That is
I'm
so big, dude. Honestly, I am 1,000% behind you on that one. I want to see my daughter, anytime I'm wrong, and I've done this a lot, not a lot, but anytime I'm wrong, I always tell her, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. I was wrong. You were right." Uh, I want her to see me be okay with admitting I'm wrong, because I want her to be comfortable with being okay with being wrong. I want her to be okay with not having to be perfect, or, everything's always going to be good, or like, no, you're not always going to be right. Just admit it when it happens. It's not that big of a deal.
yeah, and then like it shows it shows that we're not bigger. Like because I'm a dad, I still am held accountable. I still hold myself to the same
Right.
standards I want to hold my kids to. So it sets that example, and just having like humility, like, hey, I fucked up. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't talk to you that way. I shouldn't lose my cool. I shouldn't talk to mom that way or whatever it is, like
Right.
there's always those moments. Is your dad still around?
No, he's not. He died, I want to say 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And the crazy thing about that is my grandpa is the one that called me. And maybe 2 years before that, 3 years before that, he had to call me to tell me my Uncle Dave died. So he had his youngest son and then his second oldest son. He had to call me for both those.
It's tough.
Uh, yeah. And in the moment, in the second that he told me why he was calling me, my first thought was, I feel so bad for my grandpa because he's calling people to tell them about somebody they don't like. Nobody's going to be like, "Oh, George, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that he died." Uh, Everyone's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, okay." Like, my brother didn't care. There's nobody. He didn't have any friends. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, my dad was just that guy that nobody liked. And I felt bad for my grandpa more than I did about losing my dad. Uh, there's another. Yeah, he was just not good. alcohol. I think he was tweaking. Like he had dialysis all the time when he was dying. Like it was just bad.
Did you ever have like after you're 11, and then when did you see him again next? Like did you ever have any kind
Uh,
of relationship or any
no. So I
conversations?
lived with him actually.
Oh shit.
Yeah. For like 3 months when I was 16, I think 15, 16. Uh, so just to back up a little bit, when I was 13, uh, we did a joyriding in my buddy's parents' car, his mom's car, and went to juvenile hall. It was just one of those things where like, "Hey, your parents gonna come get you." Well, my fucking mom never did.
Oh yeah.
So I just stayed in there, and then when she finally did, I had to go to court, and I just asked the court. I was like, "Hey, I don't want to go home." I told the judge, I heard all these cool things about group homes. I know it sound crazy, but I hear all these cool things about group homes when I was in juvenile hall. And so he goes, "Are you sure?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to go home with her." And fuck, now I'm in the system. And it's just it was CCC. It was like this where they put social service and like criminal kids together in
Hmm.
like this group home in I think it was in Santa Ana. And then you get placed after that. And then I went to Boys Republic out in Chino, and off and on from there to my house for like a couple years. But when I turned 16, I think it was 16, 15, 16, I got in some more trouble, and they were like, "You're gonna go live with your dad." Uh, so then I went to go live with him, and it was just fucking horrible. Uh,
Where did he live?
he lived in Lodi. He was driving truck for my grandpa in a Campo, and he was just had to go to work with him all the time. Uh, so it was like wake up early. I'm in the truck with him all day. Come home at night. Uh, and I don't know. When we were in the truck, it actually didn't seem that bad. It 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 was just him driving and kind of showing me stuff, and I was learning how to do stuff too, like on the road. And then get home, and it's just drinking, yelling, fucking get the fuck out of here. Uh, I was just not a lot of physical, not like smacking me, but like grabbing by the back of the neck, fucking kind of throwing you up against stuff, grabbing you
Hmm.
by the arm, throwing you. But I never got like a punch in the face or nothing. But for sure, like, you spill something, grab you, put your neck down on it or your face down in it or whatever. Like, what the fuck did you do this? Type of shit. So that went on for a while. Uh, like I said, like 3 months. And then I know my grandma had to have seen something because she was like, she told my grandpa, like, he's going to come live with us. And then, yeah, I just started living with them. And then, fucking being a dumb kid, man. I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. I didn't know how good I had it. I wanted to go
I
back to
know,
Orange County.
right? Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I miss all my friends. Uh, and I was like, I don't want to live here anymore. So I actually just jumped in a truck with one of the drivers. I told him he was supposed to give me a ride, uh, back home. Cause sometimes me and Eric would just jump in a truck. It would literally, they had these diesels. So it would just come down south. They would go to Chino, pick up something, come to our street, honk. We'd grab our shit, get in, and he would take us to our grandpa's. And sometimes it was my uncles. They would stay for dinner or whatever, and my mom would hang out. But a lot of times it was just one of the hired drivers. Uh,
Huh. Was your
so
brother
then,
living with you up there too?
no, we both lived there, but at different times. Like my brother lived with my grandpa, uh, just at a different. It was actually the same time. I think he was like 16 too, but we're 3 years apart. So I was already in jail by then.
Huh.
Uh, so, and yeah, that's just a big part, I think, of, why I went to jail, just if we want to scoot onto that, because that's when it starts happening a lot. I just always got in fights. Even when I was in elementary school, I always got in fights and fucking on the bus, at the bus stop, and fucking most of the good friends I had in my childhood were people I got in fights with.
Yeah, same here, man. Like, I mean, I remember literally I went to I think it was kindergarten. I punched some kid in the nose, like on the jungle gym, and got kicked out of kindergarten for like socking a kid up. And it
Yeah.
just like continued all the way until I haven't been in a fist fight. It's been 5 years. Like that's that's a record for me, and it feels good.
Yeah.
I hope I still got it, if I ever need it.
Right.
Uh,
No, yeah, I was the same way, man. Just anything could just start a fight. It didn't have to be anything serious either. That was the dumb thing. Getting fights over the stupidest shit when you're a kid.
yeah, you know what though? Like I feel like the quality of men has significantly gone downhill since like it was now it's okay to like talk back, like I remember being
Oh,
young in your teens to 20s into my early 30s, like if you run your mouth, like chances are you're going to fucking catch some knuckle sandwich. Now
oh yeah.
everybody, like you
Oh
can't do
yeah.
shit to anybody, man. So
No, what's that one? It's that Louis C.K. bit where he says, dude, not only was it okay for you to hit your kids back then, but it was okay for you to hit someone else's kids. Like,
yeah, in public.
so if somebody else could fucking smack you if you're out of line.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's hilarious. So anyways,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No. It's just a lot of fighting. And so just getting arrested for assaults and, you know, shit like that. And then you go to jail and you're some white kid with a bunch of Mexicans and you're fighting there. And yeah,
We're in Santa Ana.
yeah. Feel
Yeah,
lazy or
that's a
Maine.
rough jail. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah. And then there's another pretty big milestone in my life when I was living in Brea. This was like the first time I went to prison for like a long time. Uh, I lived in, you remember the Birchwood Village?
Mm,
It's
no,
off
but
Birch.
I
It's
mean,
right across the street from the Brea Mall. I don't even know.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I
yeah.
already went to jail for this. Like, it doesn't really matter. Uh, so yeah, I lived in that apartment, and there was this kid that lived upstairs from us, Jack Cook, and so I used to work for a company called Stage Tech, and when we did staging, lighting, sound, and shit. So it was like concerts and plays and stuff. And so I would get home at all weird hours, and I came home one day, and Jack was on the steps, and he was telling me how he was getting his laundry out of the laundry room, and some guy tried to touch him, and like he's like this little kid, and he tried to pay him $40 to come take a shower with him. And I'm like, what? No fucking way. Like, are you serious? And he's crying. I'm like, dude, you need to go upstairs, go home. Like, it's like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. So he goes home, and he lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with his mom and his sister and a little skater kid. And so the next day, I'm like, hey, do you know where this guy lives? And he's like, yeah. Like, I guess he lived over by the curb. All the kids would wax in the parking lot. They'd wax the curb and skate. And his fucking patio was like right there, faced them. And so he shows me where he lives. I had him knock on the door, and when the dude opened the door, I just turned and fucking started fucking him up. And so then I got a residential burglary, assault with great bodily injury, uh, felony evading because I went to Arizona after that. And
You go
then
in his
when I got,
house.
yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, I'll spare you the details, but like, I did a lot of stuff that I didn't even realize I did until I like read the court papers and stuff, like weird stuff. Uh, I mean, fuck. So I went in and I just jumped on him, and there was no resistance. He didn't see me. I just had my knee in his chest, and I'm just fucking hitting him. Boom. And one thing I do remember is that the kid was still in the doorway, and him screaming like "George" is like what snapped me out of it. And when I stopped, I looked at this guy, and I could literally see his face start to swell up. And I remember tripping out so much that I was like, "Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do?" Uh, so I dragged him and I put him in the bathtub and I tried to wash him off and clean him up. And he started coming to, and he was like, started screaming. And that's when I just ran and I took off. And so I go away for that for a long time. But I guess when they were interviewing him and the detectives were talking to him in the hospital and stuff, and I didn't know I did this either. But the cops asked him, "Hey, like, why did he do this? What did he say? Did he tell you anything? Like, do you know who this guy is? Anything?" And he told the cops that when I was hitting him, I was saying, "You like touching little boys? You like fucking touching kids?" And I didn't even know I did that. But he told the cops that's what I said. So when they came and arrested me in Arizona to extradite me and shit, they were like so nice to me. Everybody was so nice to me. Like they weren't like dicks to me or anything. Even when I went to county jail, like everybody knew I was in there for doing that. And they just, I don't want to say treated me different, but kind of fucking did, man. And so at first, it was attempted murder. I fought it for 11 months on Theo Lacey, got it down to 7 years with a fucking strike because it's violent and all this shit. And then I go to prison, and now I'm on parole. And it's fucking hard as fuck to get on. I get out of prison after 7 years with $200, and like
Okay.
fucking hardly anybody is in the same place. You know, everybody's lived their life for 7 years, and no one wants to take an ex fucking con in their home. You know, like it was just rough. It was hard. But
What year was this, you think? When did you get out?
I was 21. I might have just been like barely 30.
Yeah.
So then Sean, my buddy who I made while I was in prison, he helped me out a lot when I got out. But he was in LA County, so when
Sean Gregory?
no, Sean Martin.
I
Uh
didn't know
but
Sean was
Sean
locked up.
Gregory actually, I mean, we kept in touch. We were when I got out.
What was prison life like for you? I mean, you did 7 years.
Uh
That's a stretch.
7 years, 4 months. Uh it was interesting. I started off on level 2, Tehachapi. You go through Wasco, you go through reception. The hardest part, honestly, was county jail for 11 months. That was rough, dude. Going to court, and then I got in a fight at court, and I'm going to Fullerton court, so it's super cold. And then I get in a fight, so now I'm shackled, and it's just fucking. They got you hogtied to your fucking wrist,
Yeah.
and I mean your waist, your wrist is fucking shackled to your waist. That was the county jail was the rough part. Once you get to prison, you get all your program going, you get a job, and you get your TV and your guitar and everything. That was it. The hard. I always tell people, they're always like, "How did you do 7 years?" I go, "You know what the worst part is? It's the intake. It's the fucking comb your squat and coffin. It's like the most degrading shit is like the first 30 days in jail.
Yeah, and then
Not
like
that
in general population in a fucking in like county, you know, like they don't have time to separate. So you're in a tank, you know, with 80
right.
dudes, and you got, you know, you got a dude in there for a DUI, and you got a guy in there for killing his
Yeah.
fucking family, you know, and then
Oh,
everything
totally, dude.
and everything in
Oh,
between.
dude, my first bunkie. No shit, you're absolutely right. So I'm in there. My very first bunkie, dude. He was in there for mayhem and disfigurement, and that was the first time I had ever heard those.
You're like,
And
what is
he was in
that?
there. He fucking cut his chick's tit off, dude. And she had like all these bite marks all over her. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, this guy's sleeping below me.
Yeah.
And it was just gnarly. But prison was actually interesting, man, because I did a little boxing. Like I kind of had a little training, so I wasn't that bad of a fighter. But just being able to defend myself was pretty big because
Well,
you're
yeah,
always going to get into it with somebody.
you got to become the worst version of you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's
You're
what I
right.
learned being locked up or being in group homes or any kind of scenario where you're around a bunch of men is that
Well, the thing too is, dude, you're like me. I'm a little blonde haired, blue eyed kid. I'm not some
cute.
fucking gangster. I don't have I don't have no tattoos. I don't have, like the normal things that you see in there. I'm not a drug addict. I'm fucking healthy. Like, it's just, I wasn't the norm. Even the white dudes in there are skinheads or fucking NLR or, drug addicts or something. There's very few people that come from Brea and go to prison, and then
Yeah,
I
so
went to level 2.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was curious about the dude you hit him up. Did anything ever come up to him about him being like some sort of predator or anything like that?
Uh, no,
Uh,
not that I know of. I'm not allowed. I don't even know if I can say his name, to be honest. Like, uh, I have like a huge restraining order, I'm assuming. Like, I'm not allowed to contact him or anything like that. I don't know anything that happened to him, to be honest.
uh, whatever. Fuck him.
Yeah. Uh, Crazy thing though. Here's a little continuation to that. Years later, I'm in Yorba Linda, and I'm at a bar for Sean's sister Candace's birthday, 21st birthday, and I'm shooting pool. And this kid comes up and he's like, "Hey, George, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "My name is Jack." I'm like, "What the?" It was the kid that I went to prison for. And he's like, I go, "What the fuck?" He goes, "Yeah, man, I didn't know if I should say hi to you or anything." I'm like, "What? Why not?" And he's like, "I just didn't know if you'd be mad at me. I didn't know, how to do. I know you went away for a long time." I was like, "Dude, no. I go, "You were like a little kid." And he was just like, it was a pretty heavy moment. Like, we hugged, and it was so weird seeing him after all that time. I hadn't seen
I tell
anybody
you, he
to do with
made up that
anything.
story. He's like, yo,
No,
man, that guy
no,
wouldn't buy me shit from the ice cream man. So I shouldn't have said that, bro.
no, he did. Well, I know
He's
that
like,
they talked to him and his mom, and they were witnesses and stuff. So I don't. Yeah,
now
nothing
there's
came out.
fucking Instagram channels that they just trap pedos, dude, and they go beat the fuck out of them. And you're like, how do they did like you? There's hundreds of videos on one page. Like, how is one guy busted like fucking, 100 different pedophiles trying to meet little kids? It's just insane to me.
Yeah, it's funny too because now that I'm a dad, uh, it's like once you see something and once you know something is out there in the world, it's hard to forget. Like, it's hard to
Oh yeah.
forget all the bad shit that I've seen and all the stories I've heard and all the court cases I've seen of other people. 7 years, dude. I know I've heard every fucking story you could imagine about people going to jail. And it's just hard walking through life knowing that now my kid is in this same world that I know is out here and it exists. And it's hard not to be paranoid. It's hard not to be a overprotective dad. Like, it's really hard. And I got a girl, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's pretty wild, dude. Like, you're absolutely right. Knowing the evil out there is, I don't know. I'm thankful we live in a country that is relatively safe, can tries to protect our kids, I think,
Yeah,
but who the
for sure.
fuck knows? The shit I hear about happening to children like in the Middle East and stuff from veterans, and it's horrific, but being in
Yeah.
the system and being in like you said, incarcerated and stuff, like you do see the real evil that lurks around here, Um,
Yeah.
so you get out of prison 7 years. It is tough to like kind of reestablish yourself, I'm sure,
Oh, it's
covered in
almost
tattoos
impossible.
at this point.
Yep. Completely.
What was the funniest
Yeah.
thing you saw in prison?
The funniest. I mean, I had some funny stuff happen to me, but I don't know if I'm gonna put that out there. Uh, man, I don't know. That's a good question because you do laugh in there. You do
Oh, for
have funny
sure.
moments. Uh, I'll tell you one of the gnarliest thing, not gnarliest, but funniest, trippiest thing I did see. So I was in Corcoran. So I went from level 2 to level 3 to level 4. Every annual, I got more points just for fucking up. I get write-ups. Each write-up is 7 points. But my first week, I was in Corcoran, level 4. I hit fucking B yard, and the basketball court is in halves. So one half is white and Mexican, the other half is black and others. And I'm playing basketball with the Mexicans, and I just hear fucking boom, get down. And I'm like, what the fuck? And these two Mexican dudes are just stabbing the shit out of each other.
Oh,
And they're like, get down, get down. And it's like literally I'm standing like around half court, and it's like full court away, like right there. And then I hear another shot, boom. And this one hit one of the guys, and he just fucking drops. The other dude freaks out. He kind of puts his knife down, gets down. They all get sprayed with their pepper spray. Everyone's on their stomach around the ground. They take the guys off. The tower cop walks down from across the yard because the basketball court's on the completely other end of the yard. Walks over with a Sharpie, finds the bullet in the building, the first one that didn't hit him, and circles it and puts G-spot on it because his name was Garcia. And that shit was there for like 3 years, dude.
oh
And they
my
finally
God.
got rid of it.
Were they used? So they were using live ammo, not less than lethal. They were using actual
Oh,
shells.
no. The tower cop has bullets.
So the dude that he dropped, did he die?
I'm assuming. I don't know. I'm assuming.
Never
Ain't come
seen him
back.
again.
Yeah. I didn't see
He
either of
wasn't-
those guys.
Oh, I wonder if they both put that slow. Wow.
Yeah, and you hear all these crazy things about Corcoran too, because they had the shoe riots. I mean, they would put the dudes up against each other in the shoe. There's a couple of movies and shit about it, but just going there. San Quentin was crazy. Folsom, just all these places are gnarly. Been there for a lot of history.
Yeah, I live not too far from the Folsom prison, so I drive by it every once in a while. It's funny they have like Johnny Cash Trail. They like fucking there's like a
Yep.
hiking trail there, and they dubbed it for Johnny Cash. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So 7 years you get out, dude. You're adjusting. Then what'd you end up doing like for work? What was your first job you were able to lock down after being out?
I mean, shit, I did a couple of violations, a couple 30-day violations here, so I had to start over. But
For what?
It's just fucking not checking in, and I don't know, just stupid shit. Uh, Partying, nothing real major. Just
Yeah.
parole violating you instead. You're not getting arrested, just your parole officer violating you. Uh, but then I was out for a long time. I actually got uh a job training. I became a personal trainer. I went to school for that at OCC. Uh, they had a personal trainer program there where you take all the prerequisites for a kinesiology degree without the general ed. So it's just the stuff you need for it. And then I started working at American Gym and getting into MMA and stuff. And that was a huge, huge difference in my life, was finding a gym. And then going up to Santa Barbara. I moved to Santa Barbara, started working at a gym there, started training at Paragon and Santa Barbara kickboxing, and just hanging out with healthier people, man. Honestly, hanging out with people who were working out twice a day, 3 times a day, teaching classes. My buddy Russ was training for a fight. I was helping him get ready for it. And then started getting in trouble again. I got in trouble, got in another fight there in Santa Barbara, went back to jail. Now it's a pretty big parole violation.
Yeah, what happened there?
Joint suspended. Just fighting, just drunk, stupid fighting. And then I met Teresa, my wife, up north farming. And I had gotten into something there, and I got out because I was I started working at the fire academy, teaching fire cadets. And I was dating this chick. And long story short, I ended up getting in a fight with somebody she was messing with. Now I'm off parole, so now I got a whole new charge, whole new
But it was
number.
similar to your first charge, right? Is that when you
Right,
him the dude
right.
up at
And
your
it's always
house?
been violence.
Yeah.
It's always been violence. So now they're like trying to give me 80% and do all this shit.
But now you look like a felon because you're covered in prison
Right,
tattoos.
right.
Yeah.
So now they're it's like a second strike, and now it's all this other shit too. But because I was doing good in life, and I got out on parole, out on bail, and I had letters from the fire academy, saying that I was, upstanding citizen, all that bullshit. And I end up changing the case. They're making it 3 strikes. None of that mattered. I fought it for 2 years, out on bail. And my lawyer says, "Hey man, you're gonna be brought into custody when you come back to court because they're gonna make this a 3 strikes case." I'm like, fuck. I go, I can't do any more bail. I'm not gonna be able to afford it. And I never went
You
back to
got
court. I went to
potential.
Mexico.
So you're out looking at potential life sentence.
Yeah. They're gonna give me life. That's exactly what it says. They're gonna make this a 3 strikes case. So I fucking bailed in Mexico. And me and Teresa went down there. I lived with my buddy. His parents helped me out. They
I
had a
took
house
your
down
wife
there.
over the border. You remember?
That's right. That's right.
I snuck her into Mexico and got her on
That's
a
right.
Greyhound. And
You know what? I hate to admit it. I fucking forgot that until just right now. Yeah.
That's
So
hilarious.
I know. And then she took the train down there, or the bus.
Bus, yeah.
La Paz.
I picked her up at her mom's, I think, in Santa Ana. And
Yorba Linda.
or whatever. And she
Yeah.
I think she had a dog, a husky or some shit. She said bye to her dog and fucking got in my car, and I drove her into where did I drive her to? What's that border town? And
TJ?
No, on the California side. Oh man.
Oh.
Anyways, there's a border town down there. I drove her there, and then we walked across into TJ and got her on a bus.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
Yeah, dude, crazy. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
uh, yeah, so we go down there, and then I'm down there working at a hotel, it was actually a grocery store for a hotel where I was doing the timeshare presentations, get people to go to the presentation and they get all these gifts and everything, all this bullshit. But it was pretty cool. I didn't mind. I got to go on all these cool excursions and stuff. I swam with a tiger shark. Did all this cool stuff out there, snorkeling and stuff. But she went home for Thanksgiving one year and then flew back, and I got caught at the airport with her and then extradited back. That was crazy experience too. But get extradited back and go to LAX. Funny thing too about that is U.S. Marshals pick me up from LAX and they drive me up north, and they go up to about Port Waimea, and they stop, and then we go into this church parking lot, and these cars pull up. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, oh, they're going to pick you up. So Santa Barbara Sheriff comes to pick me up from this parking lot from the U.S. Marshals to take me the rest of the way up to Santa Barbara County. And I get in, and they're like, what's up? And I'm like, not much. What's up? And they're like, you don't remember me? I go, no. I goes, oh, man, I was a cadet at the academy when you were at the fire academy, because they share a building. One side is the fire department, and the other side of the building is the police academy. And I'm like, oh, no shit. He goes, yeah, you used to have a boxer. We were talking about breeding boxers. I have a female. You had a male. I was like, yeah, yeah. So he's asking me, he's like, yeah, I saw you on the call sheet, so I thought I'd come grab you. He's like, hey, have you eaten? I'm like, no, I just got off the plane. So we go to In-N-Out, dude.
Hell yeah.
And he orders me, he goes, you can have whatever you want, man. So I get In-N-Out. And the dude doing the ordering, how they stand outside with their little clipboard. They're like, yeah, let him order whatever he wants. And the guy's like, well, you're going to let him order? Don't fuck this up for me, dude. Like, yeah. So I go to the jail with In-N-Out and just eat it at intake.
Oh,
that was
man.
then I come back. But I mean, that's a little side story. Anyway, Teresa was pregnant. So when she was coming home or coming back to Cabo.
So she was in Mexico at this point. She came back to Mexico. You went to pick her up at the airport. They snatched you. And now she's
in Mexico by herself.
Right,
pregnant. But so trip out. So I come back and I go through booking. I never get a bunk. They take me straight to court. And I get there and my lawyer's on the other side. I'm like, man, what are they offering me? It's, I'm thinking it's life. That's the last thing I heard. He goes, they're offering you 6 years with half. I go, what the fuck? Like, how do I run? And they give me less time than when I came back. I understand it at all. And so I go, man, I need to talk to Teresa. Do you know where Teresa is? He goes, yeah, she's in court. I go, what the fuck? How is she here in court? I was in immigration jail in Cabo for a day. Then I was in transit for a day. And then I was in booking for like probably a half a day. And within that time, she came back and was in court already. So I was like, damn, that's
a
crazy.
good woman.
I had never had, for sure, man. I remember crying too when my lawyer told me she was in court. And I remember thinking like, I had never had anybody like go to those lengths for me, dude. Like this chick was fucking the shit, man.
And then, and the stuff that you were running from happened before you even had met her, right?
Right. I was dating somebody else. Yeah. And she started going to court with me even. Like she knew everything. So then she's pregnant and my daughter's born while I was away. So that's something that it fucks with me a lot, because now she's at the age where she's asking questions of what it was like when she was born, or what was I like when I was a baby? Tell me a story about when I was a baby. And it's like, fuck, I have this one picture of me holding her and visiting for the first time. And I just don't even know when to show her or when to tell her or anything.
Yeah, that's
So,
tough, man. Like those are, you think like, oh, they're young, they won't remember. Yeah, that's true. But there's a caveat to that, and that is that they're going to ask questions, you know,
yeah,
like, man, yeah, that's interesting, bro.
it's,
And how old were you or how old was she when you got out?
just about to turn 2.
Yeah, so they're just starting to form like those long-term memories.
Right.
You missed a lot. Yeah, that's rough, dude.
Yeah. And I know too, it sucks because I always knew I'd be a good dad. I always knew that if I ever, and I was in my 40s before I had a kid. I was 41 or 42, 42 when we had Rogue. She's 7 now. I'm 49. And I am amazed I hadn't got anybody pregnant or haven't had a kid until now. Uh, but I always knew that if I did, because of my childhood, because of the dad I had, I knew exactly what not to do. All I had to
Yeah.
do was not do what was done to me, and I knew I would be a good dad. Uh, so just everything about being a dad too is, oh no, I'm sorry. The point of saying that is I knew I'd be a good dad is I always thinking that my whole life, and then missing my kid being born is pretty rough. Like the biggest moment of her life I missed, you know?
Mm. I mean, it's her first moment. I wouldn't say it's the biggest moment. We got a lot of
Okay.
those left, you know. You got
Yeah,
wedding,
yeah.
she's gonna heartbreaks, dude. She's gonna date. You got so many amazing moments that will cap that for sure. It might have
For
been the
sure.
most amazing moment in your life that you missed, but
Right,
not
right,
hers. You know what I mean?
right. And
Um,
it just sucks that I missed it for prison. Like in prison. Like that's the fucking worst. The fucking worst.
I remember talking to you on the phone, and I'm just gonna say I told you so. But when you told me that Teresa was flying back and forth, I knew that was how you're gonna get rolled. I'm like, don't do it, man. You're like, no, I'm good down here, bro. Like, I'm like, you stand out like a fucking sore thumb, dude.
Not in Cabo.
Not in
Yeah,
Cabo,
in
yeah,
Cabo too. But
yeah.
no, it's one thing too, is like it makes me, I don't know if that's the driving force in me trying to be a good dad, or just that I want to be a good dad, but that's always something in the back of my head, is like I missed her being born. Like it gets
Can't do
easier
shit
over
about it
time.
now. Yeah,
I know.
it'll get there, but like, what are you gonna do about it, man? Like we
No,
talked
I'm not
about it
gonna do it.
earlier. Like, yeah, maybe
Can't
you
do
had to
anything.
go to prison that one last time. You know, like it slowed you down. It changed some habits for you. You know, maybe it made you a better dad in the long run because you realize how precious this life is that you almost didn't get to experience. You know,
Right.
like
No,
when your wife's pregnant, right? And you get rolled up at the airport, you think you're never going to see your daughter grow up. You think you're
oh
going
dude,
away
yeah.
for life. You thought this is a wrap on George. I'm going to prison for the rest of my life, and my wife is pregnant, and I'm
I'm done.
never going to be able to see my child grow up.
Yep. Yeah, you're right about all that. I definitely did think that when I got the cuffs on me. But things are good now. I'm I love being a dad. I love my daughter very, very much. She's like everything to me.
How old is she
Uh
now?
7.
Yeah.
7.
Cool.
Her name is Rogue, Rogue. Everyone asks if it's like for X-Men or
Definitely for X.
Star Wars, but it's because we were rogue in Mexico when she was conceived.
Hmm.
We were out of the
That's
country. Yeah. Well, her full name is Rogue Arya Dutra, so her initials are Rad.
that's cool. That's rad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's rad. Uh, but yeah, man, by far my life has only gotten better since I became a dad. I totally believe that if you try to be a good dad, the rest of your life is gonna fall into place. It keeps you out of trouble. It keeps you out of the bullshit. Like if you put your kids first, dude, your life can only be good. It can only be good.
Yeah, it's funny. I was joking with somebody the other day, and I was like, "Did anybody who had kids like does their life ever been easier?" And the guy was like, "Hell no, only better." Like it doesn't.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah, yeah.
easy, but it's
That's
definitely
right.
better.
That's a good way
And
to put it.
I think when you grow up like you and I did, like you have to teach yourself all these things that should seemingly come natural. Like
Or it should be taught to you.
exactly through or taught to
Right,
you. And
right.
and that's what I struggled with a lot and still do uh is like how to I don't even know like how to even respond to a baby that's crying, like how do you even
Right.
respond to that? Because I don't think anybody was really, at least my dad wasn't real prompt to come get me when I was crying or whatever. So I had to learn how to like be affectionate and be there for a baby that needs you. And fuck, dude, the list goes is long of all the things that I didn't know how to do.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
there are a lot of things that you have to teach yourself that should be taught to you. Like affection. You're absolutely right. Uh and that was what I was thinking about, like why I've always had a dog or something, like just something to care for. Just something because I think it's a natural human thing to want to have affection given back and forth. And I I I do think that's why I've always had dogs. Haven't had no kids. My dogs have always been my guys. You can hug on them, love them. I think that's like the uh last piece of connection for a human is if you can't get it from a human, get it from an animal. You know,
yeah,
my dogs have been awesome in my life. Awesome in my life.
yeah, I love my animals, man. Like I don't know. I'm at a point in life where like now I have children. I don't know if I'll have after that. I have one dog left now. And I'm like, I don't know if I'll have another dog until maybe my kids are a little bit older where they might need kind of a protector when I can't be
Yeah.
around. I'll get them something badass. Um, when you got out of prison this second time, was the transition back to like civilian life? Was it any different from the first time?
Yeah,
Because you're
of
jumping right into
course.
being a father.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. It uh, it was different. I got out to an apartment. I got out to a wife. I got out to a kid. Like that was huge, huge. Just having a place to go was a huge difference. I didn't have anywhere to go the first time. Uh, and
Yeah.
knowing that I was getting out to being a dad too. Like I knew what I was going to do. I needed to get a job. I needed to do that. I got a job as a butcher at a grocery store.
Did you spend your
Because
time locked up differently? Sorry to backtrack, but like knowing
no, no,
like,
no, no.
hey, I
That's a
got
good question. Yeah, you're right. I
like
did. Like I didn't get any fights. I got all the extra milestones you could get. I try to get out as early as possible. I got all the little degrees you could get in there, all the little workshop shit to get any time off. I didn't smoke pot, which was a big thing. I didn't do any drugs. Didn't get in any fights.
how about personal development?
Oh, you know what? I take that back. I did get in a fight in reception. uh,
You
But
kind of
once I
have
got,
to, you know,
yeah, I did,
like,
I
hey,
take
bitch,
that
I'm
back.
here. Don't fuck with me.
Yeah,
Uh,
uh, that, but personal development for sure. I was anytime somebody asked me if I needed something, I would say, yeah, give me a parenting book. Uh, so Teresa got me some. I think my sister got me a couple, but just trying to. I read this book called Parenting from the Inside Out while I was there, and it's not about parenting from prison. It's about parenting, changing the inside of you as a person before you're a parent, so you don't kind of put your shit on your kid's hard drive, you know.
mhm.
And that book really, really, really helped me know why my mom did a lot of things she did and know why I don't want to do the same things. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I definitely tried to better myself in any way. And I did that a lot of the first time too, but not with as much purpose as
Yeah.
when I was going to be a dad. Uh, and then just getting out and just being with her was, I can't get enough of that kid, man. I love that kid so fucking much. It's unreal. It's unreal. Going with a life of like hardly any affection other than with women. Like other than girls, there weren't a bunch of hugs in my house. My dad didn't hug me a bunch. Even my favorite uncle, like we didn't hug a lot.
Yeah.
There just wasn't a bunch of affection. Uh, so to go from that to where every time I leave the house, I hug Rogue. I give her a kiss. Even when she's asleep and I go to the gym in the morning, I still make sure that I leave the house. I give her a kiss. I do something. I try to, there's a thing that I started where I say, hey, can I get 10? And we'll hug for 10 seconds or family
Oh, that's
30.
so cool.
And
Love it.
yeah, it was cool too because a couple of weeks ago, she came out and she goes, hey, can I get 10? She asked for her first 10 for the first time. I was like, oh, that was awesome.
That's cool. Dude, I told my son like a little while back, I was like, I love you, Bodie. And he's like, I know, Dad. And I was like, oh, man. Like, that was cool because you expect to hear I love you too, you know?
Right, right.
Or sometimes nothing, and that's fine. But he's
Yeah.
like, I know. And I'm like, damn, he's just a kid and he already knows. That's pretty amazing.
Are you going to homeschool?
Uh-oh. My fucking internet went down. You there? Sorry, my
Sorry, you
internet
froze.
just went down. Am I gonna
Yeah.
homeschool?
Yeah, you going to homeschool?
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I kind of already am, I guess. I'd like to public school 'em, but, you know how that is here in California. There's a
Right.
lot of like hybrid programs where they go in for a couple hours, like a week or whatever, and they're kind of all like outdoor based.
Right, right. Those are cool. That's kind of what we got going on.
Yeah.
Huh.
Dude,
I just think
go ahead, sorry.
I I just think seeing what I know of elementary school, seeing of my friends' kids. I have a good friend, Isaac. His daughter is Rogue's age. They're really good friends. Uh, and just seeing the comparison between her and other kids, I think there is a trade-off. It's like, do you want your kid to be structured and say every word correctly and uh, just know a few more things than this other kid right now and be self-conscious, be embarrassed, be subservient, be mean, be sarcastic, be all these things that you're getting for these other things? uh I don't think it's a good trade-off. I think all the things that Rebecca knows or the the big words that she knows, Rogue's gonna know those or knows some of her words that she doesn't know. It's just a different learning. And I totally think that Rogue is such a happy, outgoing, creative kid that I think the academia comes later. I think at first you should let your kids be kids, man. I think you should let them be creative, let them find out who they are, and that you're not going to find that out in school. Like, I think school stifles a lot of things that I
I
know my
think,
kid has.
yeah, 100%. And I do agree. I do agree to that. I think like my view on school is more from like a social experience,
For
not
sure.
so much education until maybe high school time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah,
want
I
my son to
agree.
go to high school or my daughter to go to high school and like all of a sudden not know how to navigate that life of like being in a busy, like
Right.
this busy environment with all these different dialects of people and
And different social hierarchies, like the cool
yeah,
kids
exactly.
and the dorks and the burnouts and the jocks, you
Yeah,
know?
but as far as like education wise, I don't think that uh there's anything a school is going to teach my child that like I
Right.
couldn't unless it's like a specialty math or some shit, like
Right. No, I
I don't
agree with
know.
you, man. I agree. Uh,
But,
I just
there's ups and downs to that, dude. I could go on and on about, education in school. I think naturally we learn better from people other than our parents after a certain age or even young,
for sure,
like
there is
like
that.
imagine being coached by your dad versus coached by an actual coach. And that's
Yeah.
essentially what a teacher should be. It's like coaching in that subject. So
Right. No,
I don't
I agree with you. It's like when you're a kid, it's like your uncle or a babysitter asks you, "Hey, can you do the dishes?" Like, no problem. Your mom asks you to do it. You're like, "What the fuck?" Like,
yeah, no thank you. Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's very true. And that's even at like 3 years old. I dropped my kids off at the grandparents' house for, when we go out on dates or whatever. Oh, buddy, so great. He's perfect, and we're like, yeah, right. Like, come on, be
yeah,
honest. And they're like, no, like he listens so good. He's so well behaved. And
yeah.
I'm like, ah, dude. And at home, he is a great kid, but dude, he sits in timeout a lot right now. A lot of 5 minute
Yeah.
timeouts
No,
going on.
I love being a dad, man. And you're right. Everything that's happened to now has shaped the type of dad I am, and type of person, type of friend, type of husband. Like, I get it. You know. I just I don't know if I would change it. Like, what would I change? What could I change? What if I did change something? What Who would I be now? And
Maybe a little
I don't know,
taller.
man.
Or,
Taller, right? I know, more hair. I mean, I
yeah, I
would.
don't,
Of course, I would change some things. Of course, I would. But there's some things that definitely a lot of things I wouldn't too. You know.
hmm. I don't know what I would, man. Honestly, it's like, what it, I don't know. I really don't know what I changed. Maybe some choices I made that affect my physical body now. But like anything that developed me like spiritually or mentally to who I am now, like my soul and like my real inner me, man, all the hard times and all that shit, I love it, Fucking suck going through it, but it's made me pretty stellar. I dig it,
Right.
but my body is thrash.
Yeah. Speaking of that, one of the things that I have done was started Body Buds.
All right, plug it, dude. I see it behind you there. What's Body Buds?
It is a full spectrum THC infused lotion. It's a body butter. I started with my stimulus check actually when
Oh,
COVID
really?
happened. Yeah.
That's awesome. I sent my
Uh,
stimulus check to a kid in Costa Rica. I was like, yeah, it's like they got fucked down there. They couldn't do shit, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, government wasn't doing much for us here either, but I sent him my stimulus check.
Just some random kid?
No, dude, I met his name's Diego. I met him on a surf trip down there. I think I met him on my honeymoon, and
Oh,
he was like a server at the restaurant. We ended up chopping it up and went surfing together, and he showed me some pretty rad local spots, and we just became friends. And I figured I didn't need the
nice.
fucking $1,200 as bad as he did.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, that's so you started a business. That's awesome. Smart.
Yeah. It was just an interesting thing. I was in a space where I had a little I had access to trim out in California, and I started making body butters with it, infusing it, and then started making it serious, trying to make a real go at it. Now we got a website. We do in tattoo shops and stuff, and it's been pretty cool. It's chugging along. I mean, it's it's never as big as you want it to be. Like I'd love to be in every store, but it's all right.
I mean, you never know, dude. You never ever know, like when you're gonna strike gold. Just keep
Right.
pushing.
Well, one of the things that has kept me going, even when it was going bad, was the emails I get from people and the messages I get from people of how like I couldn't walk upstairs before, or we got this one lady. She was going through chemo. She was saying how it's the only thing that takes the pain away from her bones. So just hearing people knowing that I'm making something in my kitchen that is helping people like that is just a trip, dude. It is a trip, man. Canada, there's people that have ordered all over the United States.
Yeah.
So it's just a trip, man, knowing that I'm on someone's bathroom counter. Something I made is in
Or in their
Albuquerque.
gym bag or whatever,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah, totally.
that's
It's a
awesome.
trip.
I have to try me some of that. My bones ache. My neighbor makes some cannabis salve. I don't know. It smells nice and it seems to work, but I'll use your shit.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you some, man. We have eucalyptus, honey, almond, lavender, vanilla, and coconut. And I just started making lip balms too.
Did I get you high? The lip balms?
I haven't heard that. I don't, man, I don't know if it does. You have a lot of blood vessels on your lips. I don't think it does, but I smoke so much weed, man. I don't know when that stuff is
Yeah.
what it's doing. But
I just read an article the other day. I don't even know how I got on it, but about the benefits of using like a cannabis-based lube, uh, you know, for sex and for in particular for women of how it can help stimulate that area.
I don't know who's gonna
So
listen to this, but when I first started making body buds, that's what Teresa used it for.
you'd be surprised, dude. I'd say probably 75% of my audience is women
Okay.
or more, if not
Yeah,
more.
I know it's got 4 ingredients. It's coconut oil, shea butter, and whatever essential oil you want. Like I said, either eucalyptus, coconut, lavender, vanilla, or honey, almond, and then beeswax. It's all natural.
That's
Uh,
cool.
yeah, it's good for a lot of stuff, man. It's really good for tattoos. It heals tattoos really good. It gets rid of the inflammation, so it heals it like in half the time. That was kind of a cool little niche, was getting into tattoo shops. Uh, and it's funny too. When I started, I thought it was going to be all potheads. It's all older people and like athletes
Yeah,
to
people who need
buy it.
some relief.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, older
Potheads
people
don't
are my
need it.
bread and butter.
They don't do anything. They're just sitting around.
Yeah.
Old people, you said elderly community?
Yep.
That's cool. And so what else are you doing? You just moved? You lived in an RV for a little bit. How long did that last?
A little over a year. We did the RV thing. Uh,
That's cool.
yeah, it was. It had its ups and downs.
Hell yeah, you got three of you, and how many dogs?
So dude, we had one dog at the time. Let me plug my computer in.
Oh, don't let that computer die, dude. I'll fucking come there and kill you myself.
So it was Teresa, me, Rogue, a cat, and a dog.
Dude, for a year,
A little over a year, almost 2.
that's wild. That's cool. Where did you go? What states did you go to?
I mean, we drove cross country. We drove to Virginia.
Cool.
But we got it in Oregon, took it down to Laguna Hills. We were living in Laguna Hills at the time. So we had it like a month before our lease was up. So we had to find places to park it. It was like weird at first, but then we took it to a couple places, went Arizona, Oklahoma, Oregon, around California,
Cool.
a lot of California.
That's
But
awesome, dude.
yeah, it had, like I said, it had its rough moments, but I don't look back at it regretting it
No,
like
you
at
found
all.
yourself a home. You're in Virginia. You
Yeah,
settled down.
it was
Yeah.
cool. Rogue
Sick,
liked it.
dude.
Uh, but yeah, now we're in Virginia. We got chickens and stuff too. We got I think we're on a little half acre. And yeah, things are good, man. Things are good. I'm pretty
That's
happy right
awesome,
now.
dude.
The
And you do your own podcast stuff too, here and there.
yeah, the Rogue Dad podcast.
Sick.
I think I have a unique experience as a dad who became a dad later in life and have the past that I have. And I talk to other dads when they're available or when it can get lined up. Just people to do with parenting.
I love it, man. Yeah, we're all doing it a little different, and I feel like it takes a village to kind of raise up, each other, really. So it's like it's nice to be able to connect with people and different fathers and shit, like all over the world, really. Cool.
Dude, it's good. Uh, that is one of the cooler things about like podcasts is hearing someone else's story like when I heard your story, dude, I was like, I know we're friends and everything, but man, it gave me a whole nother view of you. Like the similarity is just everything. Like being on a podcast or hearing podcasts and hearing strangers go tell a story that is so similar to your own. And this guy's in New Jersey in 1980 or whatever. This happened to him. It doesn't make us seem so different. Like
Yeah, it's
there's
funny, like
comfort.
yeah, misery likes company, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's comfort in knowing somebody else has went through the same shit you did. I'm not
And
such a
it's
weirdo.
crazy. Yeah, but then also I've known you for fucking almost 30 years, and we just now figured all this shit out. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but what
So,
I'm saying is we're not the only two either. There's some
oh
guy
yeah,
in like Florida that has the exact same story, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? This didn't happen to me. And it's like that is such a cool thing about podcasts, hearing other
dude,
people's
it's
stories.
wild.
It
That one
is.
I did. I mean, there's like over 2,000 comments on there, like people all over the world, man. Like
Yeah,
I could never imagine it impacting that many people. It's pretty bananas just sharing my story. So
yeah.
I dig it. I hope to keep doing it for other people, and I don't know, maybe someone finds some good healing in this shit.
Of course, man. It is. It is. And
Uh,
even if not, as selfish as it sounds, we're healing right now. Talking like all this stuff I talked about in the beginning of this podcast, man. I haven't even thought about it in so long, and that's not
yeah,
good. It's not good to just not deal with shit. It's not good to
yeah.
just repress shit. So like even just talking about it in this, even if no one listens, man, we still kind of helped ourselves right now.
People listen for sure, dude.
Right.
Um, but yeah, dude, I'm gonna hit record on here, dude. How do these fools find you? These fools. How do people find you? Sorry, I shut my
So
light off, dude. It's blinding the shit out of me.
yeah, no worries. It's George Dutra on Instagram, or Body Buds is actually the best way, and that's BODYBUDDZ .com.
I'll plug it in the show
And
notes.
if you want, man, we'll give you guys, anybody who listens to this podcast, you can, if you want, we can do a little discount code for everybody.
Oh, that'd be cool, man.
Yeah,
Figure
dude.
that out. Put it all in the show notes. I'm gonna stop recording this, dude. Don't shut your computer off, please.
All right.